Well, thank you very much for joining me in this video. As you know, the material that I cover in this video is often sourced by questions I get from the agents. In the last week or so, I've had two different agents who've come to me asking questions about mutual drives. Haven't heard about mutual drives for a while, but I thought it probably was worthwhile to address this whole issue of mutual drives. The question is, what is a mutual drive? And of course, if you're buying a property that has a mutual drive, you're going to be concerned about its continued use and what guarantee do you have. But there's other questions. Is it registered on title? Who maintains it? Who shovels the snow? What happens if it has to be resurfaced? And are there any kind of restrictions with a mutual drive? So let's start by taking a look at what a mutual drive actually is. What you generally have is two properties, and between them there is one driveway. There isn't enough width for two driveways, there's one driveway. And it can be configured different ways. Generally speaking, and the most advantageous to both parties, is if the property line runs right down the middle. When that happens, each property owner has a right-of-way over the other property. And without those right-of-ways, neither person could use the driveway. But there isn't a guarantee it's that way. It could be entirely on one person's property. That doesn't mean it isn't a mutual drive, but it means the other party has a right-of-way to passage on their neighbor's property. And you can usually tell, generally speaking, at the back, there's often a semi-detached garage, and so each party can pull out, branch out, and park into the garage, or at least a parking pad. If there isn't a garage or a parking pad, if the driveway just ends, then it isn't a mutual drive, because if you can't obstruct a right-of-way, you can't obstruct a mutual drive, so it means you can't park in it, and you've got no place to go to park your vehicle, it's a driveway that isn't really functional for both parties. And so you need to take a look at what the situation is. Now, how do you find out? Well, the first thing you can do is you can measure. If you know the width of the property, and let's say you're listing one of the properties, as was the case in both questions that came across my desk, and you know that it's 40 foot wide or 50 foot wide, and you know where the corner is, you measure over and you can establish whether the property line is at the edge of the driveway, the middle of the driveway, or the other side of the driveway. And that's a good start to find out where it is. Then the question is, how is it entrenched? Well, best case scenario if it's registered on title. But even if it's not registered on title, you can take a look at the history, how long it's been used. If there's two semi-detached garages at the back, two parking pads at the back, you can be pretty assured it's been in place for a long time, and therefore the principle of adverse possession comes up, squatter's rights. You've used it long enough, it can't be taken away. But for the comfort and assurance of the party who's buying the property or listing the property, you want to take a look at the title. Now, what you'd often do is get a hold of a lawyer, call them up, have them search the title and get back to you. That's going to take a delay. It's going to cost you a couple $100. There's another thing you can do. You can actually, at the comfort of your office, sitting in front of your computer, you can go online and for a very minimal expense, you can search the property yourself. And I'm going to ask my son to take over and walk you through the process of how you can check and see if this right-of-way or mutual drive is registered on title.
Hello everyone, Dave Quirk here, and I'm going to show you today how to use the Ontario Land Registry website. As we started off earlier in this video, Dom has a property. It's currently in a conditionally sold status, but when you pull it up on Realtor, you can see right here through his lovely photos that he's got a mutually shared driveway. Now, when you're pulling up properties and looking up things for your clients, one of the things you're definitely going to want to know is who owns that driveway. And here's a very easy way to figure that out, as well as a number of other things. So if we go to the actual listing itself on Matrix and scroll down, we will see the legal description. Now, a legal description is made up of a number of different things, and I'm not going to get into all of it, but you'll typically see something along the lines of PT and LT, which is for plan and lot and its particular number, as well as what area it's going to be going into. But you'll also see things such as RO numbers. Now, an RO number is going to tell you if there's any changes to the actual lot itself. These are things like an easement, a severance, if there's any type of grants given to anybody. You're going to see a lot of, for example, Bell Canada has a lot of right-of-ways or easements on a property simply just so they can get access to their services. Another way that you can look this up if you don't already have the listing, or if you're going to be trying to work on getting a listing for a future client, is when you go into Geo Warehouse, you can go ahead and pull that up here. So what I'm going to do is just go ahead and type in Dom's address here. Actually, what I'm going to do is sneakily cheat a little bit here. We're going to go ahead and grab that PIN number. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on it, copy, and then we're going to paste right there and hit enter. There it is. So if I go ahead and scroll, not quite that fast, there we go. Ignoring the lines a little bit because the lines don't tend to land exactly where it's supposed to, but if you pull up the property report and scroll down, you'll be able to see, well, not quite that, that's not exactly a good example, but you'll be able to scroll down and see the legal description again, which should be right here. So for example, you'll see Plan 11 on a particular plot. That's the assessment for this area here, as well as the history for it. But what we're looking for is this right here. So there's our full legal description if we didn't already have the listing up on its own. Now, what you're going to do is from here, you're going to go ahead and you're going to copy this number. Now, this has been very important. This is the RO number. It's going to contain all the information. Mainly for this property, it's going to tell us who actually owns that driveway. It's mutually shared, but somebody's going to be deemed the owner. So we're going to go ahead and copy that. We're going to go to a website called onland.ca/UI for user interface. When it's looking up for a RO location, what you would typically do is you'll type in the city or the address. So for example, this is in downtown Thorold. So we're going to go ahead and type in Thorold. And you'll see here it pops up with two different ones. We're getting an RO office number 59 and office number 59. So they should both work, but just to be safe, we're going to go with just the Niagara one there. So go ahead and sets that up that we're using the land registry office number 59. And then we go up here and click on documents, and you'll see a number of different things. The main one we're looking at here is instruments, plans, and evidence. And it's going to ask specifically for an registration number or an RO number. That's where you're going to go ahead and paste that RO number that we got from our legal description here. And then we're going to go ahead and click search. And lo and behold, it's found something. Now you can go ahead and select different pages or particular pages or anything like that. It does cost money to go ahead to pull up these papers. It's about $3. After tax comes to $3.39. It's going to save you actually a lot of money in the long run. Typically, the traditional method that we would go about doing this is to try and contact the land registry office. They'll tell you to contact a lawyer. The lawyer is going to take a while to do it, and they'll charge you upwards of $80 to $200. Whereas this, you can just do yourself. So we'll go ahead and add that to the cart. And I don't want to continue shopping, so we're just going to go ahead and check out. The digital download, that's perfect. I just need a PDF of that. And we're just going to check out as a guest. It's going to ask for an email address, so I'm going to use my remax.gc.com email and continue on to the payment. And I'm going to blank this out so that nobody knows my credit card information, so just bear with me for 1 second. Once it's all said and done, you'll see a little menu pop up that says your request has been successfully completed, and you can go ahead and close this window. It'll take you to your receipt. Now, you also get an emailed copy of this, but you can go ahead and click the little download button right here, and it will pop up on your screen as a download. That's my phone pinging me, letting me know that I've just been billed for this. So we'll go ahead and pull that up, and it'll show the full order number. Now, there's going to be a lot of jargon in here. It's going to take a little bit to kind of decipher, but as you work your way through, you'll see the deed to the land, the indemniture, and who's going to be getting what. So as you scroll down here, you will see along, I believe it is, because I've looked at this before, right here. So as you go through it, you'll see something along the lines of on the northmost side, going back 6 feet from the north side, it allows a ease of access. So this actually says that the owner of 3 Chapel Street is actually the owner of the driveway, and it's allowing the owner, I believe it's 5, I believe the one above it is 5, the right of way. And if you pull up the address and the RO number on that lot, which if we just double check and see here, you'll see there's an RO number there. But if we want to confirm, we can click on 5 Chapel. If we pull up that property report, we will see there is in fact an RO number that if we were to pull that one up, I'm willing to bet money it says something along the lines of you have a right of way to use this driveway to access your property. But here's where you can find it in writing. It does come in handy. I would recommend attaching this to a listing in the sheets when you're posting your listing, just so that you can clarify, yes, we do have the ownership of it. It does save a lot of time. It saves lawyers a big headache, and you also do look like a hero to your clients when you show them this information. I've had clients in the past that we were trying to figure out why there was a discrepancy in the lot size itself, and found out that back in 1955 through a deed, it was gifted to her children. So you can find quite a bit of information when you're going through these. There is going to be some weird jargon in here. You're going to be going back to your days in the real estate training, but you will definitely find some information here that will help you out, especially when trying to determine who an easement or a right of way or access on a property. This is the easiest way to go ahead about finding it. Thank you so much for watching.
So thank you very much, David, for taking us through that. David's shown you the mechanics of how to call up the document under the RO number. He didn't go through the document itself, although it's there on the screen. But in this particular case, it referenced the right-of-way. If I'll just put on the screen the one aspect that we're wanting to talk about, and you'll see there that it says, together with a right-of-way, as it mentioned in a deed dated the 20th of October, 1923. So this thing was in place for over 100 years. And it also goes on to say that the right-of-way is 6 feet. Well, 6 feet isn't wide enough to drive a car on. So if we had a survey, I think we'd find that the dividing line between the two properties is down the middle of the driveway, and this particular party has a 6-foot right-of-way on their neighbors to make it wide enough to drive a car. And you'd find if you check the neighbor's deed, that would reference a right-of-way probably the same 6 feet on this person's property. And so from the state of the buyer, they can be assured that the right-of-way of the mutual drive is entrenched in the documentation, and then they're good for the next 100 years. I want to thank you very much for taking time to watch this video. If you've got any questions about the technology of it, feel free to give my son David a call. I'm sure he'll be happy to hear from you. And from my point of view, always a pleasure to spend this time with you. Look forward to talking to you again next week.